You know, I really want one of those shirts that says Sarah Pearson gave me a hand job, and I just want to like walk into a public place like a mall or something with that shirt on and just see everyone's reaction, and then that one dude that's actually seen American Vandal will be like, "Yo, what's up?" That'd be funny. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Alex Reviews. Well, sorta. This is a new thing I'm going to be trying out. Since YouTube Survivor YouTube Survivor, the series is on hiatus. Season 6 will be coming in December. I figured I'd get back into film and television, and Netflix included, especially since I have had a little bit more time on my hands to watch Netflix. I figured that I would get back into reviews, and once I saw this series, this first season of American Vandal, I knew I had to talk about it on my YouTube channel or else I would freak, because nobody knows what this show is, and it keeps bugging me that people don't know what it is because it is amazing. So I was watching Nitpix's video about the top 5 underrated Netflix shows available now, and a lot of them weren't really that interesting. A lot of them were British comedies that I was not really... It didn't really fit my style, but there was this one show that sounded sort of interesting to me called American Vandal. And now the plot sounded absolutely ridiculous, which it is. That's kind of the point of the show, is that the plot is extremely ridiculous. However, it does it in such a good way. I love the show. Now, the plot of the show is one of the dumbest things ever. This high school student named Dylan Maxwell gets accused of vandalizing 27 cars by drawing dicks on them. There's 27 dicks on 27 teachers' cars, and there's this mockumentary type thing with these two students named Peter and Sam, and Randall to an extent, and they are trying to, and Gabby to an extent as well, they're trying to figure out who actually sprayed the dicks on the cars, and they're trying to exonerate Dylan Maxwell at the same time, because everyone thinks he did it because he's a known dick drawer, he's a goofball, he had a motive, just all these different things, and it's like a crime drama type show. If you've seen anything like Serial or How to Make a Murderer or Making a Murderer, some shows like that. I've only really seen Serial, which I didn't particularly care for, but I think the show goes far and beyond either of those shows. And even if you're not into true crime shows, this show will interest you, because I'm not that into them. I mean, I watch Dateline NBC from time to time, which is if an interesting case happens, but this show is really, really good, and it's different, and it knows what it's doing. Now, the plot of the show does sound extremely dumb. I just gave it to you, but I sat down, I watched it, and I absolutely loved it. Season 1 of the show, at least, it looks stupid from the outside looking in, but from the inside looking out, it just looks incredible. There's all these different things going on. And today, I'm here to tell you the reasons. This is not going to be in any particular order. It's not going to be a list type video. It's just going to be the main reasons why I believe you should watch American Vandal if you have not already. If you have watched American Vandal, please contact me, because I want to talk about this show with somebody. The first reason why I believe you should watch this show is because it is easy to binge. This is the easiest to binge show that I've ever watched. There's only 8 episodes of this mockumentary type deal, and they're about 30 to 40 minutes each. I know the finale is 40 minutes. Everything else is between 30 and 35 minutes-ish, give or take. It's so easy to binge, because once you get caught up in this mystery, there's going to be question after question after question. It's very engaging. You're going to be wondering who did what, who did this, who did that. Stuff that's not even going to be related to the main central plot of the show. You are going to get invested in. I watched the first 2 episodes like late one night. I fell asleep after the second episode. But then the next morning I woke up, I watched the other 6 episodes straight in a row. Loved it. It was absolutely amazing. I don't think you can watch this show without binging it. I mean, maybe over a few days time span. But like, you can't, this is not a show where you can like watch 1 episode a week and then you watch the second episode and then you watch the third episode, because A, you're going to forget something, or B, it could get a little monotonous that way, and the stupidity of it might not catch on quick enough as long as you're binging it. But I think I would be able to, but I know a lot of people would be able to, and I do know that a lot of people love binging TV shows. this is a very easy to binge show, and that is one reason why you should watch American Vandal. The next reason why I think you should watch this show is the realistic interpretation of high schoolers. That's the main thing that gets me. I do like watching TV shows and movies about high schoolers. I know I plan on watching Degrassi Next Class, and I might go back and watch some other Degrassi shows, because Degrassi is a very interesting show to me. But I do like enjoying watching this, mainly because I am in high school. I'm a senior this year. So part of that reason I do enjoy watching high school shows. There's also a lot of high school drama, and I like dramas. I think they're, dramatic. But this has the most realistic interpretation of high schoolers that I've seen in any form of media where the high schoolers are the main characters. I've seen it done plenty of other times in shows where high schoolers are not the main central focus of the show. But suck it, 13 Reasons Why. This is how high schoolers act. And Peter, the main character, the main documentarian, he is definitely what Tyler from 13 Reasons Why wanted to be, but Tyler just... Not every character that has to film something has to be a perv. And I mean, yeah, Peter's called it once or twice, but I mean, that's just your typical high school bullying. It's there, but it's not overbearing. Everyone just about gets it. The minority makes fun of the majority makes fun of the minority. It's very realistic, and it's a thing where 13 Reasons Why, and I do like 13 Reasons Why, at least the first season. I only watched 2 episodes of the second season, and I got insanely bored, and the plot was so stupid. But the main reason why 13 Reasons Why does not work on some aspects is because people like Clay are not real people. Everyone knows Alex Trimboli's, everyone knows Sarah Pearson's, everyone knows your Dylan Maxwell's, even your Peter Maldonado's. Everyone knows these type of characters, and they're so relatable that this show works. Without the show having this realistic interpretation of high school, this show would not work, but it does. It's the best that I've seen yet. And that's another reason why I think you should watch American Vandal. The next reason why I think you should watch American Vandal is because of the well-written dialogue and the well-written characters. Kind of gone over several of the characters that I think are very well portrayed, but even people like Sam Oakland, whatever you pronounce his name, and Gabby are very well portrayed. But just the way that the show is written, the humor is hilarious, and I'll get to that later with 2 different aspects, because there's 2 main types of humor that kind of wrap the show up in a nutshell. One you probably could have already guessed. But this show is just so very well written. You will constantly find yourselves after each episode finding several lines, and some of them won't even be jokes. There's a lot of serious moments in the show. That's another reason why I like the show. We'll get to later, the seriousness of it. There's a lot of serious moments in the show where you are going to be finding yourself and be like, holy shit, that was a good line. Holy crap, this is good. This is great. And I think that it's fleshed out really, really well with its characters and the way that it's written and the way that the story is written. It's just creative. It's Serial-like, but I just could not find myself liking Serial, mainly because of the context that it was in. I do like American Vandal. I love it. I think it's great. But the well-written characters and dialogues definitely help this show, including its humor, which I'll get to next. Next up is the juvenile humor. This is one of the 2 humors that it has. Juvenile humor is a hit or a miss for me. I'd say about 60-40 that it misses rather than hits. But this show, I mean, just look at the plot. The plot's about 27 dicks being drawn on cars. Just the juvenile humor that it's written in this show is really funny. Again, you'll find yourself laughing at just random stupid shit that happens. And it's never too juvenile to where it can't be taken seriously. I know a lot of people complain about a teacher kind of like Mr. Kraz, and saying that takes the realism out of it. I don't think so. I've never met a teacher like Mr. Kraz, but I know they exist. I know they're out there, and I think there are some moments with Mr. Kraz that are very believable. So to the people that complain about Mr. Kraz taking away from the realism of the show, disagree there. But, I think that the juvenile humor in the show is hilarious. If you like juvenile humor, you'll love this show. If juvenile humor is not your thing, which for me, again, hit or miss. You'll still end up finding a majority of the show. You might not like certain things in it, but the majority of the show you'd still like because of the other type of humor that is more prevalent than the juvenile humor in the show, which I'll get to in a bit. The next reason why you should watch American Vandal is because it is so unique. It takes social media and it doesn't just use it it doesn't use it when it's not necessary. It uses it to be necessary for the plot. I've never seen a show do that except for, yet again, Serial, which I thought did poorly. For one, this is minor spoilers, but not really, so I would stay around. But one episode of the show, they are looking at a timeline. They're trying to create a timeline for a party, which has nothing to do with the cars, but it has something to do with a side plot in the show. And they look down and look at a bunch of different people's Snapchat stories, and they make a timeline based on those Snapchat stories. And those stories stop, and they have they have cuts, they have periods of time that are missing, and I think that's extremely creative. I've never seen a show do anything like that. They don't use this for a cheap laugh or, a cheap plot line. They use it for the main story that Peter Maldonado and Sam Oakland are trying to figure out, and I think it's done extremely well. Using social media like this in a TV show is something that I've never seen before. Another thing is, they release American Vandal, the real documentary, online, and at about I think it's the 5th episode. It could be the 4th episode, but I believe it's the 5th. They mention it, and they mention that people are watching, and it becomes a plot point in the show that people are watching this, and it could ruin this school's reputation when they have to go do things. And there's fan theories. They mention that. They even go down a couple of rabbit holes that I think they would have figured out, or they would have looked into otherwise. But there's so much going on that it really makes the mystery more of a mystery. Who drew the dicks? That's the big plot point of the show. Who drew the dicks? And I think that using social media through this is something that I've never seen before, and done this well. I don't think any other show could do it better than this. If you can, prove me wrong, but I really love the way that this is done. It reminded me kind of like Unfriended mixed with Serial, except take the good moments in Serial and Unfriended and put them together. You have American Vandal. The next reason is that the social commentary is left to the end. Now, I really do love social commentaries. That's just kind of a thing that I'm going for. A lot of people don't. And if you do not like social commentaries in TV shows and movies, you'll like this, because they might rarely hint at it, but it's not prevalent enough to where it's going to distract you from the plot. The only time that they do it is that they blatantly stated at the end of the show, in the final episode, in like the last 3 minutes. I can still see why they did it, and it's a great message. It's a terrific, fantastic message, but they leave it to the end, and I don't want to have to sit through 8 episodes of a TV series and just hear the same thing over and over and over again. And some shows work like this, some shows don't. There's not a moral in every episode that you need to gain from it. It just furthers the plot along, and the moral is saved until the last couple minutes of the final episode. And I think that is a very good way to do it. Again, I don't like how they blatantly came out with it. I think they should have left a little more hints, kind of like they did with the mystery. But, I think it's a good point, and if you like social commentaries, you'll like it. If you don't like social commentaries, you'll still like it because they leave it at the end. Getting back to the comedy, the next reason why I think you should watch American Vandal is the seriousness of it, and B, the deadpan humor. Deadpan humor is probably my favorite form of humor. Sure, you're seen as a person with no personality, but it's the type of humor that I like to use. I love deadpan humor. I think it's hilarious because you don't know that it's supposed to be a joke, or it's delivered in such a way that you're not supposed to know that it's a joke, but it's a joke. I think that's hilarious. I think it's a good, I don't know how to put it, but I think it's just a good way to present humor. And this is one that's going to more relate with a bunch of people, and this is the type of humor that's more prevalent in the show than the juvenile humor. And while Peter, and back to the seriousness, while Peter's not my favorite character in this show, without him the show would be nothing, because they need a straight guy like Peter, and Peter can't break out of his straight guy scenario, especially like there's a running gag with this guy, this weird fat kid who's like a sophomore is getting it in with these senior girls, and it's just like, Pat Micklethwait, what the? And, you know, he'll break character from time to time, and that's funny. But you need a straight man in the show, like Peter, with this type of show. I don't think every show needs a straight man, because then that would just get really boring and monotonous. But for this show to work, Peter Maldonado has to be the straight man, and it works perfectly. The deadpan humor, it's not 100% like accurate with its throwing, but with deadpan humor it never is, because sometimes you won't even know something is a joke and it's a joke. That's not really much in this show. But I mean, Dylan Maxwell, or crap, I can't. Jimmy Titro, something like that. Whatever his actor's name is, delivers the deadpan humor very well. So does Peter Maldonado, aka Tyler Alvarez. I think they both do a very, very good job with the deadpan humor and making this show serious. Because without the seriousness, this show would really be nothing. This show takes itself seriously with such a ridiculous plot, and I think that is a very, very, very good reason as to why you should watch American Vandal, because it's making you believe that this thing is real, that this actually happened. I got caught up in it a couple of times, and I forgot that this was a television series. I thought I was watching a real documentary, and that is what is so good about this show. I love this show for doing that, and I think it's a main reason why you should watch American Vandal. My final reason, and the main reason, this is the number one reason if I was ranking all of these, why I think you should watch this show, is because this is the most engaging show that I've ever watched. The show is super engaging. You're going to want to binge it. It being engaging is why all of these other things work in it. You're going to want to sit down, you're going to watch it out, you're going to be constantly asking yourself questions. Who drew the dicks? Who got a hand job from Sarah Pearson? Why is Pat Micklethwait getting all these girls? Whose mom slept with the PE coach? Like, all of these things are going to be running through your mind throughout the show, and it is super uber engaging, and you're just going to get invested in the plot, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. And with such a ridiculous plot as it is, it has to be engaging for it to work, or else otherwise it would not work. I think that this is the second best Netflix show that I've seen behind BoJack Horseman. I love BoJack Horseman. I might get to that later. But yeah, this show being engaging is the number one reason why you should watch American Vandal. I think it's a fantastic show, and you should definitely check it out. Definitely the most engaging show that I've ever seen. Sorry about the phone. I think it rang during the last little bit of my last take, but it was the best take that I have, so I'm just going to roll with it. Now, this show does have some problems, but that's not the reason why I made this video, and that is the reason why I'm not going to address those problems. This is not the perfect show by any means, and it does have a good few problems, including one key little plot hole. It's not that big of a deal, so you could call it a little plot hole. There's a couple other problems that the show has. It's just a bunch of little problems that don't really mean too much. It's nitpicky things for the most part. But this show is one of the best shows that I've ever seen, at least for the first season. And I did watch the Season 2 trailer, and it looks dumber than the first season plot. I'm not going to mention what it is. If you want to go check it out, go check out the Season 2 plot of American Vandal. It and Season 6 of BoJack Horseman are coming out on September 14th, so I'm going to have a lot to do on September 14th. I'm going to be, that whole weekend, that Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be watching American Vandal first BoJack Horseman Season 6, and then American Vandal Season 2. But it does look dumber, but this show has proven to me that you can have such a stupid plot and it work. And I'm definitely going to watch it, even if the plot is one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard of. It's even more ridiculous than the Season 1 plot. I'll leave you to go up and watch that yourself. But this show may not be a BoJack Horseman for me, but it's definitely a very good show and one that I would recommend. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss a video by the Disney Nerd. If you liked this review and you want me to keep doing more stuff like this, I will. Just comment down below what TV show I should watch or what movie I should watch and what I should do a review on next if I've already seen it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.